off the last video last night with me saying I was going to seed this area I've been cleaning with my excavator, but the day got away from me and Deb wanted to run the cows, and she doesn't like to do that alone because when we run them, we just let them go here on the property. And we got 20 acres and it's fenced all the way around, but the cows don't listen and they like to just wander off, and then they don't want to come back, and it's hard for Deb to herd them on her own, so she likes me to be there. So anyway, I didn't get to seed this last night, but I was able to run the tractor through here. I had a few minutes before dinner and I didn't record it because it was getting to be almost dark, and I tilled up a lot of these areas that I had cleaned up with the excavator. So let me show you what we're starting with today, and then we'll get this seeded, and then we'll till it again, and then we'll cultipack it to pack in the seeds. When we started out just a month or so ago, that was completely thick. Like, you could not see through it, and we had our walking path here. We had this thick area or edge, and then we had our pasture and our house and everything. And the same thing over here from about there on. And I've been spending a lot of time cleaning these woods up, mainly to get rid of cherry trees, which are dangerous to our cows. So that's what started it all. And whenever I get on a piece of machinery like a forestry mulcher or my excavator, I don't just stop with that little section I was working on. I just keep going. Because when I was working on this, Deb was like, I thought we were going to leave that wild. And I was like, I can't help myself. I get on that mini mulcher, then I start clearing it. And then once I've done that, I want to dig out all the stumps. And before you know it, it starts looking like this, which is beautiful, but it wasn't my intention. I tilled this and planted it this summer and put iron clay peas in here, and they grew up pretty good. And the deer loved them and chewed them all up. There's our fence line right there. So that's our neighbor's land on that side. But last night there was 2 fawns bedded right under those oaks on the other side of that little clearing. It was pretty cool. They let us get pretty close to them. It was nighttime. We had lights, and finally they decided we got too close and took off. But I planted half of this a few weeks ago. And what you see coming up here is some volunteer buckwheat, which I don't know how it survived the 29 degrees the other day. And then I kind of just stopped because I wanted to plant different things on that end of this little pot. So the deer have been in here eating a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and plant any place where you see bare besides that area that is not bare dirt. I'm going to seed here by hand and then plant that and just get some greenery going in here like the other side. And this is the other area. Now this used to be a fire break through here, and neighbors told us that we actually had a fire either on our property or from there, and they cut the fence and got bulldozers over here. And this was actually a fire break, and it was all thick on both sides. Got that all cleaned up. Removed some trees that needed to be removed. And now we've got a nice little S-shaped food plot through there. And I'm also going to plant in between here as well. And then a little strip up there by that brush pile. And I just love the look of that. The look of things that I planted growing, but also just the greenery through the pine trees. It kind of has that park-like feel to it, but it also is beneficial to the wildlife. So right now, that rye will feed the deer. We bring the cows over here to eat that rye. I'll be using a lot of wheat because the store I buy my seed from ran out of rye seed. But I'll have wheat, daikon radishes, and a little bit of rye I had left over. And then this spring, when that goes to seed, then there'll be food out here for turkeys and songbirds and stuff. So that's kind of where we're going with our land that we don't use for cattle, is just kind of make it look better and also increase the value of it for the local wildlife. I knew when I bought my seed this year, I should have bought another bag of rye, because all the places will sell out of the good seed, or the seed, the most desirable seed. And then they're left with like a mix or something that's, got a bunch of undesirable stuff in it, or it's a Walmart type of thing where, it's made for Minnesota or somewhere and doesn't really grow that well in Florida. So you would think after 18 years of food plotting, I'd learn my lesson and get all my seeds But I'm going to put this where I care the most. And I might have enough to do a little bit everywhere, but then I'll overseed it with wheat, which doesn't grow quite as well as rye in poor soil, but it will green up. But rye has so many benefits that a lot of people don't know. Number one, it'll grow just about anywhere. And so it's not real particular on what it needs as far as soil pH or moisture or anything like that. It'll grow in the bed of your pickup. It'll grow in sandy soil. It's just really, really hardy. And speaking of hardy, it's also cold weather hardy, so it doesn't burn up during a frost. So as I was seeding through here where I tilled last night, I saw something that made me smile, and that's all the bunny tracks. There's some right here that they might be squirrel tracks, but there was a lot of bunny tracks. And the rabbits will love this wheat when it starts to get up about an inch or so tall. And there's a drag mark. That might have been an armadillo where his tail drags. But that's the type of thing that just makes me happy. I'm out here spreading a $40 bag of wheat seed out here that I'm never going to harvest. But I'll get a lot more enjoyment out of it spreading it out here on the ground than I ever would spending that $40 on a new shirt or something. Bella has a lot more access to the woods now that it's cleared, because it was so thick in here. We tried to keep her out of it. For one, because of ticks, and two, because we want to be able to see her and not get in any trouble like with a skunk like she did a while ago. I don't know if you've ever had an animal that's been skunked, but it ain't no joke. Deb actually saw Bella trying to kill the skunk. So we did the hydrogen peroxide and soap and all that. We didn't use water on her. We did all of that stuff we were supposed to do. And then we continued to give her those baths. And she probably still smelled, where she really got sprayed on her chest, she probably still smelled like skunk for 3 months. Not bad, but especially if she got wet, like if she went swimming in the pond, smelled just like a skunk. This is the other end of that fire break. And I've always been able to get about 20 feet of growing in here of something for the past several years, but I spent a lot of time with the excavator cleaning that area up. I can't wait for this to sprout up and be green in here. I mean, it's like 7 days or so that it'll take, but then it'll be like that for 3 months or so. Just looking really nice in here. And are you guys like that? Do you like to plant stuff? Do you like to continually improve your property? Or do you just leave it wild? There's not a right or wrong answer. It's just what I like to do. We always say whoever gets this 20, 30 years from now when we're gone from this earth, but somebody's going to get a really nice property because of the sweat equity that Deb and I have put into it. And I don't care. I mean, I'm not worried about that. I'm just enjoying it. Blessed to have it. I got all the seed spread and I'm ready to till it in, but I got to cut off some of these vines that wrapped up from last night. Now, I cut them off twice last night because they got so thick in here, all those roots and vines and everything, and I just want to keep this clean. I don't want anything to mess up that seal inside there. But that's not too bad. Let me go check the other side, and we'll get to tilling. This side's pretty clean. Just got a couple little pieces to knock off of there. I did so much banging around last night that the turnbuckles got really loose because I didn't tighten them with a wrench. So as I tighten it, the tiller will come this way. It was actually hitting the tire on the other side. Go ahead and put a wrench on it. There's not going to be any method to my madness here. I'm just going to go back and forth between these rows. The tiller's 5 foot wide and the row width is mainly 8 foot wide. So every row will have to be tilled twice. But I'm just going to go through here quickly because I pre-tilled it and just cover that seed up. So if you're wondering if that's rough on a tiller, I'd say yeah, it's definitely more rough than say a farm field. But here's an example of one of the tines of my tiller, and it's worn a little bit off of that leading edge towards the right. But otherwise, I mean, it's still got years and years of life left. Let me get this cleaned off and put away, and then we'll grab the cultipacker and do our final step. I got the tiller off the tractor and put away. I got the tractor put away, and I hooked my custom-made cultipacker to the back of the electric Hyson. But then I remembered there was something I needed to do to it before I used it again. I had this built out of a big farm cultipacker, and we put our own pillow block bearings on it and bought the 2x2 tubing and put the hooks on it so you could lift it on and off a trailer. And I had some wheels mounted on that plate so that you could flip it over and ride it on the wheels rather than ride it on the cultipacker wheels here, and kind of save some wear and tear on them because they're really old and they're cast iron and they have a tendency to crack. Well, the problem was the casters that I bought from Harbor Freight couldn't handle the weight of the cultipacker, and the first time we used it, by turning it upside down on those rubber wheels, the rubber wheels disintegrated. So we've been running it for years without wheels, but those plates were actually catching trees as I go by in these tight quarters out here, and I knew I had to cut those plates off, and I put it off and I put it off, but those plates are gone now, and I've painted over them. Okay, we're going to put this thing in low 4-wheel drive just so we have plenty of torque. And what I love about using this electric Hyson cultipacking is all you hear is the sound of the cultipacker. You don't have any engine noise. It's just pleasant. You can do it fast, you can do it slow, but I got a lot of fencing tools in the back of this thing, so I'm going to just go slow, take my time, show you what it looks like afterwards. It's always pretty cool to see the cultipack ground after you're done. Now this is much more fun in a big field where you can just go real fast and make, you know, a lot of progress in a short amount of time. I've just got to make sure I don't hit any of these trees. And now that I've cut off those metal plates, I'm a little less worried about damaging them. But if you don't know what a cultipacker does, it takes this fluffy ground from the rototiller and it packs it. And that just pushes the seed firmly against the soil so you get better germination. And also it leaves these ridges that almost act like erosion control. They trap water in the low parts, and then the high parts keeps the water from flowing over. So a lot of good things come from cultipacking. I could probably just leave this ground like it was, and that mixture would come up probably pretty good, but this will just make more of it come up or give me a better germination rate. Guys, I just love this stuff. I love land management. I love improving our property out here and making it better, not just to look at, but also for the wildlife. And I also love sharing it with you guys if it's something you're interested in doing it to your land, or just seeing how equipment works. So if you want to see how we charge this electric Hyson with solar, check out this video right here. And also I have a playlist that shows all the different times that I've planted food plots over the years. But that'll wrap it up. So until next time, y'all take care out there. And remember, life's short, tractor hard.